been severed. I told them all I get let up. They get not tired of me never. Give me a shot and out.
Hey, welcome into the Big Dog Show. That's my guy, Marcedes Lewis of the Chicago Bears. I'm David Kaplan. Brought to you by our great partners at Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy Dealers and Ankin Law, 312-6 million. Okay, Big Dog, 1-0, somehow, some way, find a way to win a football game.
Yeah, man. Obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, we didn't start as well as we wanted to start. But that's why it's a complementary sport. It's a team game. I think best case scenario, especially for Caleb Williams, is exactly what happened. We didn't get started well, and we still were able to win the game. There's a lot to learn from that game. Yeah, man, I think either way, whether we won the game or lost the game, there's still lessons to be learned from that. And so I think the key this week is just to get better, right? And as long as we can get better every week, we'll be fine. All
right, let's bring your special guest in. Last week we talked to fellow tight end Cole Kmet. Today, star of Fox, a phenomenal follow on social. I love this guy. He's a dear friend of yours. Jay Glazer joins us now here on the Big Dog Show. Jay, thank you for taking time to be with
my guy.
This is my guy. This is well, first of all, Jay, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I know you're super busy. You're coast to coast, jet setting, wine drinking.
Hold on a sec. You got this. The show's called the Big Dog Show, but your mascot is like a little Boston Terrier. Like that's not what I expect from you.
You don't like
Big
that?
Dog used to be like a pit bull or Rottweiler or Cane Corso or something.
You know what? And that's what my mom said, but I just feel like, this is my 19th year. And then if you look at the schnauzer, he has a little beard. It looks like he has some sage. Something just connected me to that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go with this. I think.
All right, I like it.
Like the bully breed or the mastiff is probably what I would normally go for.
Yeah.
But I feel like everybody is using that. And so this is one of those things that kind of set me apart. So.
Okay, I like it. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
So, Jay, let me ask you a question. One of the things I've respected about you, and I've been in this game a long time. I was a former college coach and an NBA scout, left that in the back, and I've been doing media for 35 years. Players trust you, but yet you're able to give your opinion and be fair and honest, yet you talk to players, and I've asked Brian Urlacher and different guys, they're like, yeah, the guy that I trust the most is Glazer. Why is that?
I actually kind of made a point of that when I started my career. I started in 93 in a giant locker room, and people don't know, like the first 11 years of my career, I was making $9,450 a year. Like just grinding. But I walked in the giant locker room in 93, and I said, man, I don't have the same education as everybody else. I got kicked out of my first college in the middle of my second semester. Like I was a complete jagoff. And I thought it was cool to be a knucklehead back then. I was doing Jersey stuff. And so I didn't have the education. I didn't have the experience. But how could I be different? And all the way back then, I said, one thing I will do is I am relentless. I will outwork everybody and just relentless. So I said, well, if these other reporters work 40 hours a week, I'm now working by 100. Right? The blueprint for greatness is just find out who the best is and do more than them by a lot, not a little lot. But the other part, I literally said, man, how can I be different from these guys? And I thought back then in 93, they were using their pen as a weapon. Well, I was going to start relationships. I was going to sit there and I'm just in sports. I don't cover the Middle East and politics. Like we're escapism. That's all we are. So never took myself too seriously. But I literally said, I want to be the most trusted guy in sports. And I felt those relationships allowed me to go deeper. And I got murdered for starting friendships and relationships with players and coaches, especially me and Strahan. They used to write about us. And they said, well, you're not objective if you're friends with the players. And I said, well, I think you're not objective if they don't talk to you. You're killing them. So I think you're not objective. And that actually prevented me from getting a job as time went on, because every time I was up for one, they would go and ask the other reporters about me. And they'd say, oh, he's not objective. He's friends with these guys. But as a result of this relationship, I can get deeper. And look, I've broken some brutal stories of friends of mine, guys getting popped for drug tests and guys getting arrested for stealing checks in locker rooms. My point is, I'm going to tell it fair. It's going to come out anyway. You'd rather me do it because I'm going to say it fairly and not take shots. But also, like, relationships for me are everything. And, I've talked a lot about mental health and whatnot. All these years, the whole league for me, like, I need teams to keep the roommates in my head to talk nicely to each other and keep my head on straight. The whole league for me has been a team in that way, where it's been able to, keep me from doing worse stuff for myself than I already have. Let's say that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that, Jay. And I think that if a lot of athletes understood how to use the media for them, and then also the other side with the reporters and actually having a good relationship with these guys, they get more out of it, right? Like, for me, obviously, I use you as an example. As close as we are, like, we're family now, right? And if, regardless of like how long we've been friends, even when we first met, there was like this common thread and an unspoken thing that I felt like at home. And let's just say you were in my locker room and you were a reporter. You have like this, you connect with people without even saying anything, right? And I'm an energy person, you're an energy person. You know how that goes. If you walk in and I feel a certain way, regardless of what it is, I would rather you tell my story,
right?
Because I know it's coming from a good place, right? And like,
but also, Mar, you could say this also, like, I haven't always, like, I've gotten after your ass in the past.
Absolutely.
Right? Where other guys can't do it because Marcedes will cut him off. I have gotten after him for not playing right or not doing this or not working hard enough. Like, I've gotten after him. So I'm more objective than a lot of others. People don't realize that.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? Yep. Like, that's you have to leave your pride at the door. We've talked about that. And then understand that everybody has a job to do. And I would just rather, I got lucky, right? I got lucky being able to meet somebody like you. You've opened up my eyes to a different world. And I think from that aspect, as far as like being in the locker room and reporters and all of that stuff, I see it from a different vantage point now. And I'm more open, and I can tell an honest story because of our connection and understanding that it's better for me.
I appreciate it. Let me tell you something, Cap, about Marcedes Lewis. So I talk a lot about mental health now to teams. And I'm always telling guys, look, we're so reactive with mental health. And listen, I started training Marcedes 15 years ago, and I used to get brought in to talk to teams about violence, about the fighter mentality. And my whole mindset of our unbreakable way, Marcedes will tell you this, is, man, if I am hurt or tired in that cage or in that field, you will never, ever, ever, ever know. We will be relentless, relentless, relentless. My partner in all this, Randy Couture, broke his arm in half in the heavyweight championship of the world against Gabriel Gonzaga. Didn't show it. If you showed it, fight's over, he's losing the title. We don't show it. But at the same time, that same mentality has gotten me and a lot of other dudes off that field, away from that cage, to want to throw ourselves off a damn bridge or turn to drugs and alcohol. And I've always dealt with these issues. And I finally, after I wrote a book a couple of years ago, I finally came forward about it with clinical depression and anxiety and ADHD and bipolar. And I knew it was in the page of the book, but I didn't want to wait for the book to come out to be able to help people with it. So I put it on social media. And I tell these guys, I said, hey, guys, if you could open up and turn into your teammates, think how much closer this is going to make you. You got to get more proactive about your mental health. But you're probably saying, oh, man, how do I turn into these guys? I'm not comfortable enough. I'm not secure. I'm not safe enough to do it. And the first story I tell them is about this cat right here. Because the first time I ever came out with my mental health issues, I put it on social media, which is normally a cesspool. And that causes us a lot of issues as it is. And within 2 minutes, Marcedes Lewis calls me and says, Coach, I knew you're crazy, and that's a badge of honor in football and fighting. But I didn't know you were in pain. I'm sorry. I got you. Think about that.
That's amazing.
That's what a friend does. That changed everything. But I tell these players, and now, like, Marcedes and I were friends, but now we're brothers because of this. And that vulnerability and that realness. So Marcedes changed my life that day by doing it, because I didn't know how people were going to react. Like, I was I was crapping my pants of, against social media. You're killing you on Twitter. And man, again, my feelings, I'm sensitive. I get hurt. But he changed my life that day. And then, Strahan said shortly after, he said, why have you never told me? That's my baby sister, and he said, why have you never told me? I said, well, with you, I don't know, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, we're so competitive. He said, but you took away my chance to be your best friend for 30 years. Like I could have been there the whole time. And that's what I'm really trying to preach to these players. But every time I tell these teams now, and I open up, that Marcedes Lewis, the baddest SOB in this league, was the first one to be vulnerable with me. 2 seconds. And it changed everything. So we live for each other, brother.
It's amazing to hear you say that. My daughter-in-law is a psychiatrist. And we were having this intense discussion a week ago. And she's like, let me ask you a question. You're always up, always good. I said, yeah, that doesn't mean every second is great, but I power through. And she said, that's not the way you should look at it. You should find someone that you can go, hey, Marcedes, we're tight. Can I talk to you about something? Mm-hmm. She said, everybody needs somebody that they can talk to and not be judged. That was a pretty cool conversation.
We lift while we climb together. And the vulnerability is really the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Look, I'm 54, man. And I just got married. And it was the first relationship I've ever had in my life where I didn't sabotage it. So when you have depression, anxiety, you feel like you're not worthy of any love. So every relationship, Mars seen me with a million girls, and every one of them are either the wrong one because I didn't feel worthy of it, so let me get the wrong one so it would end. Or if it was a good one, I'm like, well, I'm not worthy of it, so let me sabotage it because the fear of when it's going to end for me, knowing it's going to end, the fear of when it's going to end is worse for me than the ending. So let me sabotage it and speed it up. And because I started opening up about this 3 years ago, I was able to really get the help and get to a different level where now I never knew I could experience this level of joy that I have with Rosie. And not only that, she tells me straight out, like when you have and guys, again, mine is clinical and it's ADD, it's bipolar. So I have these manic episodes and it's depression, anxiety. And when I go off the reservation, she now says, hey, she knows to, in the past, say, what can I do to help you? How can I be there for you? How can I show up? I didn't have that ever. So my point to everybody here is I'm 54. It's never too late to find love and it's never too late to change. And you're always like the same way I went about my career being relentless. And the same way I fight, Marcedes will tell you, like, I just move forward. And I don't stop. I'm attacking this the same way because I didn't know I could have this level of happiness and joy until now. But that vulnerability, that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I appreciate you expressing that, Jay. And I think, there's so much power in being vulnerable. And, you think about it. My mom had me at 15 years old, born in Long Beach, like always working in a couple jobs just to make ends meet. And, I didn't really develop those skills to be able to deal with what's going on inside, right? Like she's a single mom, she's doing the best she can. And for me, I found sports as like my way out and just kind of like you said, going forward. Like that's what it was all about. And regardless of what was going on around me and how it affected me or hurt me, I just didn't have the ability to kind of be able to sort through those things. And to be quite honest, my mom doesn't either, or didn't either. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a cycle that we all go through. And like you literally, if you don't have that foundation, you don't know how. And so again, it brings me back to what I said before. I was just very blessed to meet you at a time where, I got franchise tag. And I don't know if you remember, we were having dinner in Beverly Hills. We were trying to work out my deal. You're the one that told me to go back to Jacksonville. After I was holding out for like 5 days, Jack Durrell, who was my head coach at the time, literally called me. Me and Jay are at the bar having appetizers and kind of like talking about the whole thing and what I should do and how long the holdout should be. And this is my first time going through this. And Jay was like, just spoke to me about my integrity and what it means to like just be a man. And this is so why why change that because you're waiting for your contract? Go out there. You don't have to work out until your contract is done, but at least your teammates see you. You're around the building. You're in meetings. You're working out. You're doing your thing. And I was on the next flight out.
Yep.
You know, and like
go be great, right? Hey man, go be great.
Yeah.
Like business is business, but go be great for those guys. Yep.
Like, had I not had Jay, and I was just with my knuckleheads that, you know, were my age that didn't understand it, right? Like, you got to think about it. I'm the one in my circle that made it out. I'm the one that's seeing things and experiencing things that they will never see. So how can they tell me how to handle this situation? Meanwhile,
they don't
Jay,
know.
Right. And then you have Jay on this side, where one of his best friends is Michael Strahan. Are you kidding me? And that's just like, think about that. Like, I'm sitting with Jay, Michael Strahan, a guy who I've looked up to and had the chance to play against in 2007, is his best friend, right? So I'm pretty sure as far as like all the knowledge and information and situations that Jay has talked to Strahan about, I'm getting it firsthand of how it should be, how to handle myself and conduct myself like a professional. And so from there, we just truly built on that. And I'm just, obviously here I am, my 19th year, with all of this knowledge and all of the conversations that Jay and I would have on the low, or him just always checking in with me, or I'm checking in with him. And like, I've learned so much, bro. And I'm elated. I know if I don't tell you enough, I love you. I appreciate you.
Love you too, yep.
You are a pillar in my life, bro.
Thank you. And you're real, like, you know, when I go on this training camp tour, I just got back from 40 days. I'm able to tell Marcedes now, hey, check up on me. I struggle. I do. Like, just because I talk about it doesn't mean I'm better now. Like, I have better days and things, but I don't ever know who I'm waking up with every morning. Like, it's, and every single day, it's hard for me to get out of bed. Like, the sky's falling. I'm in a better place now than I had been. But Marcedes, man, like clockwork, every 2 days, just checking up on you. How you doing? How's everything going? And because I'm not in my routines, I tend to get thrown off a little bit more. But again, it's made us brothers. You know, we're not just friends. At the same time, like, we in camp had a real deep conversation about things that we felt we had messed up on in the past in life, which you never could have with someone. Like, that is brotherhood. And then we learn from each other. And then I could teach that to others. Like, I've been around this league for 32 years. And like, again, I've grown with people and I've seen everything. There's nothing that can happen in this league that would surprise me, because I've seen it. I've heard it, but also I've been able to walk this walk with a lot of people, and I just could communicate it. God blessed me with the ability to communicate. And I could do that with guys like Marcedes.
Absolutely.
Now, I got to ask you a football question, because when the Bears still had Justin, should they get Caleb? Should they trade Caleb's pick for a haul? It was insanity in this town. Craziness. 50-50. And you came out and said, look, Chicago will build. I remember I played the quote on my radio show 1 billion times. They'll build a statue, a bridge, a tunnel. They'll name whatever you want if you go to Chicago and win. And Caleb has talked about that. What was that interaction like, you to them? Because we only heard his perspective. We didn't hear what he was like with you.
No, I mean, I just met Caleb out here at Nobu, Malibu. But also, the only thing I said to him, literally, was that first meeting with him, is I like the way you conduct yourself. But my one piece of advice to you is be great. Don't be famous. Like, too many guys just try and be famous. Being famous is not the same as being great. And I love that you're conducting yourself as someone who's trying to be great. Oh, and again, like Marcedes said, I've been with Strahan since 1993. And the number one thing for Michael, he's the king of daytime TV, but football was always number one. Like, we would sit there, man. And look, back then I was broke. So I couldn't afford subway to bus fare to Giant Stadium and back every day. So Strahan, who lived in Jersey, drove me back into New York City every freaking day for 7 years because I have enough money. But as a result, I'd have to come home with him, and he'd sit there and he'd watch film and watch film and watch film. I'm like, bro, you're killing my freaking social life. Like, what are we doing here? And I don't even know what the hell he's looking at, but he's trying to teach me and show me. And he is hours and hours where he's going over his playbook. And I'm like, bro, I got ADD. I can't sit here watching film over and over and over. But football was one. That was it. And everything else took care of itself. And people don't realize that because they see him now. But I got front row seat to his greatness. And that's my point to Caleb too. Like, being famous ain't the same as being great. Be great. And I never had a doubt that he wanted to be. And I think for Justin too, I think he got beat up in Chicago. So man, it's a lot of times you come to the NFL and it's not just your size, skill, talent. There's so many other variables, and everything's between your ears. We talked about the mental health part of it. Mental health isn't just depression, anxiety, and all that. It's also performance side. So everything starts in those 6 inches between your ears. It's behind your ears and behind your rib cage. And I thought a guy like Caleb, man, had this different level of intangibles that can come in there. And yeah, if he could be great, they'll build another bridge over there for him. They'll build a tunnel for him, everything.
Yeah.
I love to be great and not famous. I think trying to be famous is not sustainable, right? Like
Right.
you're gonna get a certain level of fame if you're great anyway. Like you don't even need to worry about that. And by pursuing greatness, you're gonna be able to kind of create this blueprint, because for everybody is different, right? And you're gonna be able to create that blueprint to how you go about your business. And that's something that we've talked about. If you go anywhere I played at, they can tell you what my routine is. Like, think about that. Like, they can tell you what my routine is, whether it's in the meeting room, in the weight room, around the building. I always say, like, I'm an alpha because of how I treat people, not because I'm 6'6" and 270 pounds. My heart is bigger than that, right? And so it's how you conduct yourself. Everything is being evaluated, from the field to around the building to how you treat the janitor after you leave the locker room, right? And so I think all of that encompasses like being great. And so I really love that point. Jay, I have a question. What is one of your most memorable, like when you broke a story, what's one of your most memorable stories as far as like the emotion, the kickback, like what's one of your most crazy ones?
Spygate changed my life. It was everything. And it was only my second week. I'm still the only guy with a copy of Spygate. And it was my second week in studio at Fox. These guys didn't want me there.
Wow.
Like, I was doing sidelines and an insider report for the first couple of years. My second week ever in Fox. And all of a sudden, I have the biggest scoop ever. I had Congress call me. Senator Arlen Specter asked me for my copy of Spygate. And I said, no, respectfully, Senator Specter, we're just in sports. I think our tax dollars should go to something else. And my dad's sitting there. I'm on a beach in Key Island, South Carolina, and he threatened jail time if I didn't give him my copy. And I literally said to him, what the hell do I take care of? All I do is fight and lift anyway. And my dad is like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to show Congress that I'm off.
Right.
You're trying to show Congress that you're off. And then my bosses heard about it, and they were like, we are telling you to shut the hell up. I said, see, he's working with you guys right now. See? So it's like, wow. But man, that changed my life. There's been so many, dude. Like I had, Barrett Robbins going AWOL night before the Super Bowl. Then I was in a limousine with Sam Hazen, was the head chef at Restaurant Tower at the time, like 10 women, and none for Sam. And I got this call, and I had to go break that. I've had, all the balcony. I've had the second Spygate. I had every freaking Brett Favre retirement, non-retirement. And I love the I like, my career's changed too, because I used to have break every single story happen. Marcedes would sit there. I'd be training Marcedes and all these guys in MMA. And then these calls would come in, and I'd run over, I'd break a story, I'd jump back, and I'd start, training and sparring with guys. It's like,
so I don't mean to cut you off. The last time we were together is probably about 2.5 weeks ago. I didn't notice. Do you still carry 2 phones?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah.
So around the time when I met Jay, bro, and like how he was just saying, like, so he'll be training us, and by training, just MMA. He literally
I wrestle every one of these guys. I box every one of them. I spar with them. Like, I do real violent hand fight and stuff for these guys. And you talk about greatness for Marcedes, though. He's like, I'm going to go learn violence from a little 5'7" Jewish reporter. Like, you got to check your ego to be able to do that. That's hard for guys. But him and 1,000 other players have done it. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, he literally was like this. Yeah, no, getting the juice. Yeah, back, hold the mitts. Look, oh shit, hold on, Mark. It was ridiculous. Like I didn't. It was almost like I felt like I was in a movie, right? And like that was the first time I had ever been around like how it really is, right? Like he's getting all the juice. He has to break all the juice. Like everybody from players to coaches to front office, like trusting him with this information, and he's breaking.
Marcedes is throwing kicks at me while I'm doing this,
bro.
in one hand.
100%. He's breaking information and trusted with all this intel that your insiders, right, the other insiders don't even get, right? And so at that point, again, I was just like, okay, this guy is just all around just badass, and it was smooth to see. Like I was impressed with that.
Hey, Marcedes, remember the time I'm training you one time, and I'm helping broker this trade of Jimmy Graham to the Seahawks.
Yes.
And I'm outside, I'm doing this, I'm training. I'm like, hey guys, I want you to work on this and this in the back. I go outside and I'm like, man, I'm engineering, but then if I engineer it, I could break it too. And I break the store and I come back in. I'm like, guys, huge scoop, man. I'm about to break. Jimmy Graham just got traded to Seattle. Well, Seahawks backup tight end was there training with us. I forget his name. And you guys all looked at me like, oh, dude. I was all pumped about this. And I was like, oh, man. I basically just told the guy, no.
Like you're training the guy.
We got no.
Going to start.
Yeah, we had like 40 dudes in there, and I totally forgot about it. I'm like, and I was all excited, and you guys, nobody was like, yeah, because you guys like the tight end, and you're like, you just told this guy he's getting released. I'm like, oh, no.
One of my favorites was I'm friends with Brian Urlacher, not as close as you are, but I've done events with Brian. I like Brian a lot and his brother. And something was going on, and he decides he's not going to talk to the Chicago media.
Yeah.
And I see him. I go, Lack. He's like,
go to FoxSports.com. He said, go to FoxSports.com.
Yeah, and the rest of the media standing there. I'm off to the side watching this. And Brian, what about this? Go to FoxSports.com.
Gotta go to my blog on FoxSports.com with Jay Glazer. And he kept saying it over and over. And I never, the league office called me, and the Bears like, you can't have Brian say it. I said, I'm not having Brian say it. Brian's his own man. That's his own man.
Brian is his own man.
Yeah, he's his own man. I'm not saying anything. You guys want to tell him not to say it. By the way, why would I tell him not to say it? Of course, but you out of your mind? Hey, have a great relationship with the guy. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
I would never
have a relationship with him.
Go to FoxSports.com with Jay Glazer. It was the greatest.
You know what nobody knows? Is the night before their playoff game against the Saints, the NFC Championship game. Nobody knows this. Lovie Smith was like, Jay, I need you to get in your guy's head. And I said, what do you mean? And Brian had been hurt and all this stuff. It was like out of a movie. And he's like, I need you to get in Brian's head. I said, Whitney, he said, we need him tomorrow. And if he doesn't play like Lack, we're not going to win. I need you. And I know you care about him. He's holding back. And Marcedes can tell you, like, man, I can motivate cats. Mm-hmm. So I said, what do you want me to do? He said, I want you to go to his room after curfew. Okay, this is for the NFC Championship game. No one knows this. I said, go to his room after curfew. How am I going to do this? They said, everybody will know. I show up to the team hotel. Lovey has security down there waiting for me. Mr. Glazer, it's room 914, whatever. Okay. And then you go in the hotel, is like, curtains there. I go back there and I get in the elevator and I go up to the 9th floor and there's other curtains there, more security. And they're like, Mr. Glazer, it's room 914. And I walk down there, I knock on his door, and he's like, he opens the door and he always calls me, buddy. I said, you and I need to have a talk. And I got into Brian, man, and woo! I don't think he slept that night because I had him going. And nobody has any idea. He asked me to go talk to him. And it wasn't if the Bears could win or the Saints could win. I'm not getting involved in that. But he felt that Brian was holding back with some injuries and just which would kind of put him more in harm's way. I just wanted him to just go out there and play like him. And I got him so freaking charged up. And I remember after the game or during the game at the end, he came over and the Fox cameras at me and he grabs me. He's like, is that good enough for you? Because also I get after these cats. And no one had any idea what it was. But I got, Lovie Smith, engineer, for me to go give Lack a pep talk before the NFC Championship game.
That is
at 11:30 at night.
Great story. Great story.
That's I mean,
the more you can do.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, being a motivator is like one of his superpowers. So, I mean, makes sense to me. I get it. Thank
Hey,
you.
I like to
Jay.
see my friends do great things, man. I really do. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think the art of loyalty is a dying art. And really the art of loyalty is just do something for somebody to make them great. Like, it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of view everything in life. It's a little morbid here, but like, I approach everybody like, I'm going to be your pallbearer. You only got like 6 or 8 pallbearers, right? And
That's it.
if I could treat everybody with that kind of respect, that they'd want me to be their pallbearer, if I can get 10 or 15% of my crew to treat me back the same way, I got a pretty damn good special mafia around me.
You've
no
won.
doubt.
You have won.
Yeah.
Like, one more thing that I'll add to that is like, that's what being a leader is all about, right? Like, it's not about you, it's about how can you serve others, and you have always done that. And I've learned a lot from you, and very appreciative of our moments and our conversations. And then I'm always able to pay it forward, not just to my teammates, but everybody that comes in contact with me. I got a little piece of you with me. So
I appreciate it, man.
pretty cool.
Like I said, you changed my life that day. And as a result, you've changed a lot of other people's lives. You gave me the confidence that I could talk about this stuff to everybody. And that's the pot of gold, the end of the rainbow, baby.
No doubt.
I can't tell you how excited we are to be partnered with Marcedes, and to have you
Good.
on the show is phenomenal.
Now, the one thing I will say, I know you guys are short on time here, but make sure if you guys.
Oh, bro, don't do this.
What do you mean, Marcedes? But if you guys were ever going to have like a dinner or like a party to commemorate this, get his credit card beforehand, okay? Make sure you get his card before and run it. Get his Venmo, get his Zeal, get everything and run it. Because next thing you know, oh no, Marcedes may be taking you out for your birthday and magically he forgot his wallet.
Great tip. I'll make sure I file that away.
Hey, we go for lunch with me, him, Sean McVay, Chris Shula, a bunch of people, and Marcedes gets up. He already stiffed me on my birthday, and then he gets up and he says to Sean McVay, "Hey, just tell me what your Zeal account is. I'll catch you. I'll pay you back." And Marcedes goes, steps out, and McVay turns to me and goes, "What the hell is Zeal?" Skipped out of the head coach. You knew it was coming, Marcedes. That will haunt you forever and ever.
You see, this is how we're going to end such a great conversation. That would never happen again, all right?
Hey, I was going to break because I'd broken that Marcedes was re-signing with Chicago. And I was with McVay at Soho Malibu. And I should have put out, I don't know why I freaking wussed out. I was going to say, scoopage alert on Sunday. Marcedes Lewis tells me he's about to re-sign with the Bears, which means one of two things have happened. Either A, he really is re-signing with the Bears, or B, it's just this cheap bastard's way of getting out of paying the bill today and just want to leave early. I think it's A, but I'm not sure. And I wussed out.
Yeah,
and by the way,
awesome.
McVay at the time's going, is he really signing with the Bears? I'm like, yeah, he's signing with. He goes, well, tell him, hold up. Like, I think I say, hey, dude, you've had freaking 4 months to sign. I'm not telling him to hold up and sign with the Bears. No.
That's it. Done deal. We want him here in Chicago. Jay,
No doubt.
Thank you again. Best to you. Big fan on this end, and we love Marcedes. So really appreciate you taking time.
Love you, Jay. Thank you, brother.
Love you, Mar. Love you, buddy.
All right, I could be in contact soon.
We'll see you, Jay.
Big Cap.
Yeah.
Take care. There he is. Marcedes, that was such a riveting conversation because you two, the relationship's obvious, but that dude's as real as it gets.
Yeah, he don't sugarcoat nothing. Very honest. He's one of those people that he'll let you know that he's not perfect and that he doesn't know it all. And I think, he's rubbed off on me in that way. I'm not one of those guys that'll sit around in a conversation and try to add in and act like I know about topics that I don't. I'll be the first one to tell you, like, hey, excuse me, like, what does that mean? Or I'm not sure I've ever heard that before, when the majority of people will just sit there, act like they know it, and then, they're actually not learning anything in the conversation because they didn't ask. So I'm just very grateful to have crossed paths with Jay, and he's had a big impact on my life. So it was good to have him.
God bless you. Best wishes for a great week, and Run the football. Let's go.
That's why I'm here, man. That's why I'm here. Like, the passing stuff is out of my system. Like, I'll catch a couple passes a year at this point. For me, it's about being dominant at the point of contact, and let's get back to the basics, right?
Let's get back to the basics.
Let's run the air out that ball and get Caleb comfortable. But yeah, man, I appreciate you. Good seeing you.
And when you get a night, I know you got Sunday night this week, but when you get a night, we're going to go to dinner. Okay.
I'm going to bring my wallet. Don't worry about
it. You bring your credit.
I got you. Appreciate you, man. Good seeing you. See you next week.
I'll see you next week. Great chopping it up with you as always. That's another episode of The Big Dog Show with my guy, Marcedes Lewis. I'm David Kaplan. Subscribe, like, follow right here on the Recap channel on YouTube. Take that.
Back and I'm better than ever. I think I got a vendetta. Oh, now they call me, I seen them. All of those times getting severed.